There are dozens of Star Wars games on the market, but none can capture the excitement of lightsaber combat as well as the Jedi Knight series. Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is actually the fourth game in the series if you include the original Dark Forces game. It is not a revolutionary product. It uses the same Quake 3 engine and gameplay elements as Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast, which was released early last year. But its predecessor had some problems because it was kind of boring at the beginning because you didn't have your lightsaber and you didn't have your Force abilities. So what Jedi Academy does is it manages to take all the fun parts from its predecessors and greatly expand them into a very fun and engaging game. You play as Jaden, a new protagonist in Jedi Academy. Previously, you played as Cal Katarn, a strong yet, reluctant Jedi in the previous Jedi Knight games. Kyle has since joined Luke Skywalker as a teacher at the Jedi Academy and is looking for new students. You can actually customize Jaden's character. You can be male or female, several different races, and you can wear different outfits. Your ship is attacked on the way to the Academy and it crashes into the ground. The storyline revolves around solving several questions related to this attack at the start of the game. In a cutscene, you see a female steal information from Luke's chambers. So what role does she fill in this attack? And the Imperial Remnant is still in the galaxy. Are they related to a mysterious cult of Ragnos that is appearing throughout the galaxy? After a short tutorial training mission, you are immediately set out to help Luke and Kyle obtain answers to these questions. Jaden will travel all over the galaxy in these missions. The missions are surprisingly varied, which is quite a pleasant aspect in the game. One mission will have you fighting stormtroopers on a refinery on a gas planet, while another mission will have you stranded on a desert planet until you can find pieces to repair your ship. Like its predecessor, Jedi Academy will take you to familiar locations like Tatooine and Coruscant. Some missions can last over an hour, while others will take just 5 minutes, so you never know quite what to expect. Jedi Academy has an overall linear path, but you can mix this up to a certain degree. You start out with a set of 5 missions to choose from. You can pick any one of these, and after you've completed 4, you get an option to either return to the Academy or play the 5th mission. There isn't a reward for doing this 5th mission, but you may find yourself doing so anyway because the game is so fun. After returning to the Academy and completing a plot-critical mission, you're offered a new set of 5 missions. This repeats for a few times before you complete the game, and it'll take you somewhere around 15 to 20 hours of gameplay, depending on what missions you choose and what skills you utilize. It does an excellent job at balancing these missions. Your first set will put you on reconnaissance or rescue missions, where you find mercenaries, poorly equipped stormtroopers, and the occasional dark Jedi. They may be easy in a sense, but they're no means boring. It's quite satisfying to just completely dominate your opponents, just smash them into the ground, slice them to bits. But by the last set of missions, you'll constantly be fighting stormtroopers in power armor and lots of dark Jedi. But perhaps the best improvement in Jedi Academy is that you have your lightsaber and force powers at the very start of the game. As mentioned, you spent the first portion of Jedi Outcast without these abilities, and it's quite boring by contrast. Conventional weapons are interesting, but people play this game for the Jedi abilities. It's not to say that conventional weapons are useless. While it's possible to finish the game without ever sheathing your lightsaber, sometimes rocket launchers, sniper rifles, grenades, they'll help you dispatch some pesky foes like the power-armored stormtroopers. Jedi Academy also changes how you progress your Force abilities. You start out with 8 core Force abilities. There's the Force Pull, Force Push, Speed, Sense, Jump. Then you got your saber abilities like Offense, Defense, and Throw. These abilities are limited at first, but you automatically become more advanced in these areas every time you return to the Academy. You also have 8 additional advanced Force powers to choose from, 4 on the light side and 4 on the dark side. And your light side abilities are, your goody two-shoes power like Protection and Heal and Jedi Mind Trick, while the dark side powers have more abusive ones like Life Steal, Lightning, Force Choke. Whenever you complete a mission, you're given a point which you can distribute to any of these advanced Force powers. Each power has 3 levels of improvement. For example, Force Heal. 1 point will allow you to heal while just standing still, while 2nd point lets you move around, and the 3rd point improves the healing ability itself. It's a good system of representing the fact that you're slowly learning from your master Kyle throughout each mission. And there aren't enough points in the game to become a master in all categories, so you can either specialize or choose a little bit of everything. In reality, you'll probably find yourself making a beeline towards Force Grab and Force Heal. They're the 2 most useful abilities, and you can actually complete the game with just these 2 abilities. Force Grab is the incapacitating choke Darth Vader uses to crush people's windpipes in the Star Wars movies. The level 3 ability lets you pick up and throw enemies around like ragdolls using your mouse. You can throw your lightsaber while the enemies are helplessly suspended in the air, or you can just dump them off in a cliff. Force users can break free of this choke, but the split second it takes them to stop the choke is enough time for you to just flick your mouse to the right or left and drop them off into the cliff. Even the AI seems to just be resigned to this fate of a crushing defeat. Stormtroopers just stand there and shoot at you, even though you reflect the shots back at them. And Dark Jedi will rush at you, even though they've seen 4 of their brethren just smashed to bits or plummeting to a horrible death. Sometimes you'll even see an enemy do something stupid and commit suicide by jumping into lava or just standing there getting smashed. But you know, the game's excitement comes from the massive body count you can accrue and by how viciously you can get rid of your opposition. You can actually be as vicious as you desire. There's no repercussions for just hunting down enemies that are running away from you, smashing them to bits, choking them. Jaden does get to choose between the light and dark sides of the Force towards the end of the game, though. You'll play the same mission whether you're on the light side or the dark side, but you have different goals. You actually become like your own faction if you become a Dark Jedi. The last mission is actually kind of cool because there's lots of good Jedi fighting Dark Jedi, and sometimes you can just walk right by them or help them out, and the good Jedi will follow you if you're on the good side. You also see that another addition in Jedi Academy are more saber styles. You know, you have your dual lightsabers or the saber staff that Darth Maul used in Episode 1. You'll eventually be able to choose between any of them in the game, but each have their negative and positive aspects to them. The dual sabers are just cool because you're just fighting with 2 swords. You can throw one of them while having another one just held in your hand, blocking shots. And the saber staff is just this big monstrosity that can literally push back enemies and stuff like that. Jedi Academy certainly doesn't flaunt any bells or whistles. It uses the Quake 3 engine, which is beginning to show some signs of age. It's capable of displaying some large outdoor environments, as you'll see in some of the later missions, but they're kind of bland and there's really not much detail to them. The character models just don't compete with top games, and there are clipping issues as well. But lightsabers will still reflect off surfaces and radiate color into the world. There isn't much of an improvement in the sound department either. While the voice acting in cutscenes is really well done, in-game voices can be lacking. Enemies will continue to taunt you with looping statements like, "A Jedi," or "You are weak." You know, is this really supposed to unnerve you when, you know, you're sitting here murdering these Dark Jedi right in front of their faces and they're still taunting you? But you won't have these taunting problems in multiplayer. Human opponents are much more challenging because they don't fall victim to tricks or don't get choked as easily. So what you have to do is you have to learn to fight with the sabers and figure out the stances and their counters. You still do have different gameplay options like various conventional weapons or choosing lightsabers only and adding bots. And the way multiplayer works is that you have a limited amount of points to distribute between all the Force powers, so you have to choose wisely. Jedi Academy has a Jedi Knight 2 multiplayer modes like Deathmatch and Capture the Flag, as well as 2 new modes. Power Duel is similar to Darth Maul's fight versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. But Siege is the big addition because it's actually like a class-based mode with objectives. Between the multiplayer and different character paths, you'll find plenty of replayability in Jedi Academy. It also gives us hope that people do learn from the mistakes. While Jedi Outcast had its ups and downs, Jedi Academy is a non-stop action ride that starts out on a high point and manages to stay there throughout the entire game. Gameplay elements that can be boring, such as jumping puzzles, are limited, so you don't get quite irritated doing these over and over. It will even play well on older systems, so those waiting for big winter titles to upgrade their computers will be able to play it. Jedi Academy caters well to everybody, both first-person shooter fans and those who aren't well versed in the Star Wars universe, so it's recommended that anybody pick it up.